All right, thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. Not Monday, Friday. I always like saying Friday better than Monday. You know, when I was reading the information that introduced me through words to our next guest, Greta Sesheta, I was impressed. I didn't realize how much more impressed I was going to be, even beyond what I was impressed by already, simply by going to her website. And so I want to play, before we say hello to her on the air, I have a soundbite from a CD, I believe, that she has produced called Calling in the Circle. She's on the phone right now. She's going to talk to us about this, but I wanted to play just a little bit. It's a sample that she has on her website. Reverend Greta Sesheta has a list of credentials, and I'll tell you what they are after we hear this first. And this is the soundbite. I don't know what to call it, actually, but this is Greta, and we'll be back in, I think it's about a minute long, so we'll be right back.
I turn to the realization of what is real, what is true, what is righteous, and what is eternal. This realization naturally flows from the inherent qualities of wisdom, intelligence, clarity, assuredness, and divine authority. The Master Teacher, Jesus, promised that if ye exalt all things to spirit, they are in existence already. This means that I don't have to struggle or strive. I'm not here to struggle or to be in trouble. I'm here to realize that my life is good, and greater good is always unfolding through my awareness that I know it, I allow it, I accept it. I walk in rhythm with the divine, and here I abide.
All right, that is Reverend Greta Sesheta. She's on the phone right now. How blessed is a person that can take less than a minute of your life and with such sincerity and such a calming kind of a delivery and such an important message give you such hope as Reverend Sesheta just did there. She is on the phone. She is a minister at Agape International Spiritual Center. She appears frequently in movies, commercials, television dramas, and it's almost like two different women we're talking about right here. She was in Law and Order, Grey's Anatomy, The Bold and the Beautiful, and she's also a university professor. Obviously an inspirational speaker and the founder of Seven Pointed Star Ministries. I don't know where she has the time to make CDs, but she did. It's called Calling in the Circle, and I believe that was a sample of it. Good morning, Reverend Greta Sesheta. It's an honor to have you on our show.
It's so wonderful to be on your show, and thank you for playing that. I wasn't able to hear what you were playing, but I'm so delighted that you...
Oh, you couldn't hear it? Oh, it's too bad. See, I don't know how we're in a new studio, so I sometimes push the wrong buttons.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, my...
It's very warm here and sunny, but this is the weather that I love. How about you?
We didn't wake you up, did we? We didn't call too early.
No, it's 8 o'clock.
You've got such a sweet and sincere voice. I want to make sure the word sincere is in there, because that was what I felt when I listened to the piece that we just heard. Just so you know what we did here, it was the sample that you have on your website.
Okay, so that's a part of one of the cuts from the CD. It's a CD.
So what is your story? How did you go from being, it sounds like you were a guest star on the TV shows I mentioned, and now you've got this very inspirational Christian ministry, it sounds like, that you're doing on CD. How did that happen?
Well, I am a minister. I teach prayer classes at Agape International Spiritual Center, and someone just asked me, she said, I like to meditate. Meditate is part of our practice. And she said, I just wish that there was something that had, a certain amount of minutes for me to meditate where I wouldn't have to watch the clock. So I thought, well, how about taking 1 minute for every hour of the day just to be in the quiet? So on my CD, I have prayers, I have music, I set the environment, and then there's 12 minutes of silence. And then coming out of the silence, there's music and another prayer. And so They're based on 6 steps of affirmative prayer, which include starting with gratitude for all that has been given to us, then recognizing the presence of God that is everywhere. And since it's everywhere, it must be where I am, so I get to unify myself with that presence. And from that purview, from that point of view of knowing that I'm one with God, I get to realize that all is well, that the Spirit of God has already given me everything that I require. And then I get to give thanks, express my gratitude, and then I release the prayer. So for the cuts on the CD, each one is dedicated to one of those steps.
Do you know, Reverend, we speak to a lot of people on this show, and I just want to talk about the ones who talk about the Bible or who talk about God. There are 2 types. There are those who seem to be intellectually able to explain or intellectually understand, and it's almost like somebody went to school, learned the subject, and now they can recite what they learned very, very well. And that's a blessing for many people. But then there's the other half, and you're in that other half. Not that you didn't intellectually understand the Bible or couldn't intellectually explain it, but there's something deeper. There's something for people like yourself. It's almost as if you had a moment with God himself and you got it better than any student would have ever gotten in a classroom. I don't know if that makes sense to you, and I don't know if that feedback resonates at all.
It opens my heart to hear you say that, Larry. I appreciate it. I think that, I guess it's part of the New Thought movement is knowing that I used to think when I was little that God was an old man in the sky that was keeping this list and checking it twice and making sure that I was...
That's Santa Claus.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And, a God that can get angry and can punish me and cut me off. But I came to realize through my study and my practice that really and truly God is within every one of us. And so the quiet time is opportunity to listen to what God has to say and for me to commune with the Spirit of God. And so that changes the picture completely for me, and not only am I knowing that God is in me, but I have to know that God is in you and in everybody. So no matter how different a person may look or sound from me, there's something in me that knows that it resonates with that person. Some people will say namaste, and that means the God in recognizes the God in you.
Right.
I like how you use the words I am, because so many people forget that is a description of God, but that also is a description of the spirituality inside each individual.
Yes, anytime that I say I am, I'm declaring my truth. So if I say I am healthy and I am happy and I'm strong, that becomes a truth for me. If I say I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm poor, that becomes the truth for me, because I believe that this is a spiritual universe that is intelligent and it responds to whatever it is that I'm thinking and to the words that I'm speaking. So, yes, whenever I start to say I am nervous about something, I get to check myself and remind myself what I really am is I'm excited.
And did that happen just before the radio show?
Absolutely. I'm excited about this. And I feel like, the Spirit of God just prepared the way, because here the two of you are, these perfect angels on the other end of the phone that are so open and receptive to this message. And it's not always that way. I have had really the opposite, and that's part of my learning and growing, and it's part of becoming more aware and more connected to who I really am. But I'm so grateful for the two of you this morning for being receptive and open to this message. And
the interesting thing, I appreciate everything you said, first of all, and I don't know if I'll take to heart the angels part, because I don't know. But you are. But I wanted to tell you that let's see, for the listeners, there's a publication that the radio hosts get, at least I get it, I don't know, is it called Radio Record Report? What is it called again, Robin? Anyway, you were mentioned, there was an article about
Radio Television Interview Report.
Thank you. Yes. And what I read and what I perceived was two different things, because what I read was that you were going to talk about how grandparents can,
Well, yeah, can do that because you know how it is, Larry. You have to have a quote unquote hook.
Yeah.
And so this is written for me, and so sometimes I'm talking about panic attacks that I used to have and how to overcome that, which I can do also. But I love it when people want to hear more about spirituality.
But I think that's where you are. It feels like, and I knew this already. There was something intuitive when Robin and I looked at your information. Just to be totally honest with you, the fact that you've got connections with some of these well-known TV shows is cool, and we know our listeners like that kind of stuff. But it's not always enough for us. For us, if we see that, that's not a done deal, because I would see somebody who is spiritual like yourself without those credentials and be just as excited about inviting that person on.
Oh, yes.
So, but what it's very exciting that you have done the other things. And I have a question about that, actually. In that world, because I've never been in that world. I've never been on a TV set while people are waiting to shoot scenes and all of that. Are you out of your environment? Are you a fish out of water, so to speak, or are you just as comfortable there as you are anywhere?
It depends on what it is that I'm doing, because I do commercials, and commercials are pretty easy and comfortable for me. Mostly I'm just smiling or pretending that I have a headache and then I get over it.
I know a lot of women that pretend they have headaches. Now you know I'm not an angel.
No, you are, because you saw through the ad. You saw that there was something more than what that ad was portraying.
That's funny.
I finished a national campaign for Hallmark cards for Mother's Day, and in that I got to be a grandmother. I was a grandmother, and I feel like my granddaughter helped prepare me for that role because it was so natural for me. And so many women tried out for that, different races and so forth, but I got it. It was easy. It came like second nature. That was definitely in my category.
Wow.
I have done things, medical things, where I was definitely very, I'll say, excited. It felt almost close to stage fright because I had to say medical terms very fast and things that I wasn't familiar with, and that was not comfortable for me.
Oh, really? Really? If they ever remake the series Touched by an Angel, you'd be perfect for that. If acting and spirituality can come together, it's that kind of a show.
I love that. I wanted to be on that show. I never was able to get on it, though.
Oh, wow.
Well, you could be what was that woman's name again?
Delarice.
No, not that character.
Monica, the one that played
you could be the Monica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I love Delarice's character, too. Monica.
Yeah, but Della came to mind because she's a minister and also an actress, and first I thought, well, how can I do this, But I do. I make choices, like, a lot of times they'll call me for things for commercial that I just won't do, I don't want to do Depends. I don't want to do Cialis. I never did alcohol, when they were doing,
Did they call you for that? They call you for Cialis?
Well, yeah, but I just I'm not
one of your scenarios that you like to talk about and that you're demonstrating now is how to live in the nick of time.
Mm-hmm.
That is really incredible.
Yeah, I think a nick is just a little tiny little space, and it's kind of a mark for something. So I know that if I'm in a nick, I must be in the perfect place and time. There must be a perfect plan to put me in there. And so that's a place that I want to live my life from, that is not regretting what is past and not dreading what is coming, but being fully aware, fully connected to...
It is very difficult, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you still there? Robin and I have a saying. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
The time between dreams and memories is only the blink of an eye. And it's that same notion that you say a nick, because if you like for example, I can remember I have photographs of my son and I at the Grand Canyon from when he was little.
Mm-hmm.
I remember planning for that trip for a year.
Yeah.
And when you look back on that trip, even though it maybe took 2 weeks, it feels like the blink of an eye. It's like, wow, it's over already.
Yes.
In fact, his whole childhood is over already. He's a grown man.
Doesn't it happen like that? And I had this feeling for all of my life that I was 24 years old. That's just how I feel. When I was teaching, I taught high school dance, and sometimes I would be mistaken for a student by somebody, that was new there. But in my spirit, I just felt 24 years old. And then all of a sudden last December, I had my 70th birthday. I said, how is this possible?
You're 70? Wow, I'm looking at your
70.
photograph. You don't look it at all. I said to Robin, are you sure this lady's not just pretending to be a grandma?
In a blink of an eye, it's you're in a whole different space. But I think that the trick, if I could call it that, is to wherever you are, whatever niche or nick you're in, to be fully alive and appreciative of all that is in your life, rather than looking back, oh, what happened to my life? What happened to my children's childhood? They're all grown up. But to look and see it's all part of this wonderful cycle that just keeps unfolding eternally, I believe.
The fact that God has blessed you with the ability to speak in such a calming way and sincere way and confident way makes the product that we're talking about in part today. I mean, we kind of talk about everything, but the CD itself, I'm looking forward to hearing it. I'm just disappointed with 12 minutes of silence.
It's like the blink of an eye.
I'm just thinking that the engineer must have gone nuts with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure you didn't do it that way. But so the Calling in the Circle is a CD. I want to make sure we're fair to the CD. I mean, you're giving us a great interview, and I want to make sure people can go to your site and understand why we want them to go there. So you've prepared this. You have story scenarios. Is that right? 7 story scenarios.
I talk about gratitude, all the things that there are to be grateful for, and how the law of gratitude says that the more I express my gratitude, the more I have to be grateful for. It was like when Robin was talking about I am, I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for this life. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak to you. I'm grateful that I can breathe, that I can see, that I can hear. And as I'm expressing gratitude, in my experience, I have much, much more to be grateful for rather than things to be remorseful about or to be regretful about. So I talk about each one of the steps. The gratitude is about recognizing God in, through, and as everything. The trees that I'm looking at outside my window, this bird that's here on the grass, recognizing God in everything helps me to feel supported and anchored and grounded in this presence. Because if it is everywhere, then it's right here in me. And I am able, and I am gifted, and I am blessed, and I am expanding, and I'm learning, and I'm growing. So for each one of the cuts on the CD, I talk about each one of these steps, the gift of each one of them. And then that leads into a prayer, and then leads into this time of silence, and then very gently comes out of it with another prayer. And I don't know, but people have just stopped me and told me, at my church, they love this CD, that they start with it every morning. One really well-known TV personality told me that he uses it every morning, that it's helped him. He recently lost his mother. His father is very ill, and his wife was divorced. And he said, really and truly, it saved his life. I don't know. I would tell you his name. You would recognize it, but I don't have permission to do that.
Okay.
And that is one of the most wonderful things, because a person never really knows how many people they touch with a phrase, a song, something like that. But you just know you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, and this is what you truly believe. And you will never really know how many people whose lives you might even save.
Absolutely. You all don't know how many lives you're touching by having this radio show and this opportunity.
Do you know, I've often wondered about here's what I've wondered about. Like, we speak to people like yourself who do great things. We speak to doctors who've saved people and people who've done really magnificent. There was a lady on yesterday. She's with an organization called Operation Mend, and they take soldiers that are severely injured, and with the medical. It's right there, by the way, UCLA, right where you are, and you teach at UCLA, don't you?
No, I teach at Agape University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I was thinking.
Graduated from UCLA.
I'm sorry.
Oh, congratulations. She's an alumni of UCLA.
All right. And I apologize for speaking over you. There's a delay, and it's unintentional, so I apologize. But I feel like sometimes in speaking to so many great people as we do, that we are so minute compared to what everybody else in the world is doing. Our contribution. So I always imagine, when I die and I'm standing before God, and He's going to say, "Well, what'd you do?" Not much. I made breakfast a couple times, and I did this little radio show, and I'm hoping He says, "Oh no, let me show you this." Just like the life, It's a Wonderful Life, where they show him what He did. I'm always hoping that moment happens. I say, "Really? You mean that little joke I said actually helped somebody out?" I don't. It seems like it's such unimportant thing that we do, but. The important part is to get people like you out there, at least for this little audience, I
appreciate it, and my understanding is there's no big or small in God. That everything, it's not the quantity, it's the quality, and that because God doesn't judge us, God only knows us as His creation, or her creation, or its creation, however you want to think about it. So God already knows your heart. God already appreciates and loves you as an avenue and a way for it to express itself, and knows that you're doing wonderful work just on this radio show, but not only there. Anytime you give a smile, or anytime you have a supportive thought for anybody, anytime that you share, anytime you express gratitude.
Well, you have definitely brightened our morning by being on the air with us. Reverend Greta Sesheta is who we're speaking to, and we're just about out of time. The CD that we started out with is called Calling in the Circle, Peace and Power Through Prayer and Meditation. And Reverend Sesheta, what is the website we can go to?
It's just revgreta.com. That's REVGRETA.com. And I have a special offer there for the CD, and any of your listeners that are interested in that. And I also have a grandparents' prayer and a prayer for prosperity and peace. Those are downloadable as a PDF or as an audio file, listening to me pray the prayer.
I should have downloaded the prosperity one. I could use a little bit of that. I'm teasing. No, I'm very. I'm just teasing. Well. You are a delight to speak to, Greta. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I'd love to speak again sometime.
What a wonderful interview. We will take a break. We'll be right back.
I am Florida Ag News from the Southeast AgNet with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. New Teachers and Students webpage is home to a wealth of scholastic resources for children and teachers. As NRCS Chief Jason Weller says, they worked with a variety of partners to ensure